Hi, everyone. Welcome to Compliance Unplugged. I'm David Drever, a Microsoft 365 MVP specializing in security and compliance.
Hi, I'm Joanne Klein. I'm also an MVP in M365 and security. What should we talk about today, Dave?
Well, Joanne, they've made a bunch of announcements recently. Some things have actually come out already. And I thought it might be good to talk about a couple of the things that we think are really going to affect organizations, whether good or bad, and maybe just to share our thoughts on it, and maybe get some feedback from people who watch our podcast in the comments later on.
Great idea.
All right.
So, always a good idea to check the M365 roadmap, and some of those are in records management and compliance. So that's what we should focus on here.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So actually, I have a couple here that we've talked about in the past. Let's bring them up here. Okay. So what I want to talk about here actually is this new features coming out really quick, and actually GCC is going to get this as well. So it's good for those in the government sector in the U.S. Is this bulk replacement of or removal of a retention label. So it's coming out here really quick. It's in private preview right now. Public preview starts in October, with general availability coming out in December. Now, what this is the ability, if let's say, for instance, you want to, something changes, you have, regulatory changes or something along that line that changes your requirements for your label, to create a new label, or maybe your labels that you previously had had to be maintained for 5 years, now they'd be maintained for 7 years. They have different triggers. They have to go with different approvers. You have internal reorganizations, things like that. In the past, what you would have to do is either go find all that content and manually change it, or write a script or something along that line that would actually allow you to go find all those documents, and relabel them based on a new label that you created. What Microsoft is working on right now and releasing in December is the ability to do that right from Purview. So what will happen is that you'll create your new label, and then you'll have a tool within Purview. I don't know if you've seen it, Joanne. Have you seen it by chance?
No, I have not.
So I haven't seen it yet, but my understanding is that right from within Purview, probably within the records management space, you can actually say, have an option to switch content from one label to another. Mm-hmm. So I see this as a real game changer for a lot of organizations, because let's be fair here. Records management goes over a long time, and in that long time, things change, rules change, mm-hmm. needs change. So I see this as a real plus, because you're allowing the system now to do the changes for you. You're not having to write scripts. You're not having to double check things. The system is going to do that for you. So I actually do like this change that's coming up.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that there's going to be some caveats to how this functionality is going to work, and I have not seen the capability yet, but my first thought goes to record labels that are locked. How is it going to deal with all of those kinds of things? But it will be interesting to test drive this when it comes out.
Yeah, and the other thing too is kind of wondering, thinking about too, is that will this change affect the modified date? If you're effectively modifying the content, but at the same time, you're not really modifying the content itself. So I'm hoping that when they design it, that it's going to update the system or update the document without actually updating that modified date, because it's really going to screw up your record retention schedules.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what do you think, Joanne? What's your next choice?
This is a big one. And I was just talking about record retention labels, and this one is dealing with that as well. So it is the capability of opening up a locked record as read-only in Office apps. This is in public preview starting this month. I just tried it out and tried this capability out, and I'm still getting the yellow message on the bottom, so it hasn't hit my tenant yet. I couldn't see anything reference for GCC tenants on this one, but roadmap is saying rollout starts September 2024. The current behavior is if you have a record retention label applied to a file and you open up that file in the Office Online apps, let's say it was a Word document, it will open up in read-only mode, preventing you from changing that content of that file until you unlock the record. If you were to open up that same document, however, in the full desktop Word app, it would look like you could, in fact, edit it. And only once you try to edit it would it display that yellow message at the bottom. You can see it's trying to sync that change. It can't change it because the record is locked. So this change is making that experience better. So it will, in fact, prevent an end user from trying to edit from editing the file when it's opened up in the Office app. So it's a usability improvement, and I think it's a very important one when customers are starting to apply these record retention labels to their SharePoint content.
Yeah, and I think what's going to help with too is that you think about it, you work on a document, you hit save, and suddenly you can't do it. So what do? You save a copy of it, right?
Right.
And so you end up with document A, version 1, version 2, version 3,
Yeah.
file. And
Right.
it just goes on and on and on. And so this is really good too from that perspective, in that sense that if you know it right away, you're not going to try and save the changes. You're going to say, oh, I need to unlock it. Then I'll go back in and I'll open it up. So you get that warning ahead of time so you don't end up with all these extra versions because you just finished working for an hour to find out that it's not actually saving.
Right. Yeah. So there's a training piece that goes along with this because, end users are going to get this message in their Office app. They will have to know to go back into SharePoint to unlock it, to save their change. So there's an end user training component.
Right. All right, let's go on to the next one. So this one here, I'm going to be awfully honest here. I'm on the fence on this one here. So what this one here is introduction of secure workflow to bypass legal holds and retention policies. It doesn't look like it's scheduled for GCC or GCC High or DoD at this point. I imagine it's going to come at some point, but it's not right now. Public previews just finishing up. General availability is rolling out now. I don't know if you've seen this in your tenant yet or not. I haven't seen it in mine.
No.
But basically what it is it's a way to build out an exception so that if you have content that has a retention policy on it or has legal holds on it, you can still delete it. So it's a way to get around those legal holds and retention policies. I'm curious to understand what would be the use case for this, because to be terribly honest, and hear me out, to be terribly honest, to me, a legal hold's there for a reason. A retention policy is there for a reason. Mm-hmm. If it's mislabeled or something along that line, if it's a retention policy and it's in the wrong spot, that's one thing. But legal holds are usually there for a reason. So I don't know why you would want to bypass a legal hold to remove content. So what are your thoughts, Joanne?
I can think of a couple legitimate use cases. One is the right to be forgotten from GDPR and many other regulations like that. I'm not sure if that would compete with the legal hold, but it certainly would if you just had a standard retention policy out there, making sure all of that content is gone. Another one I thought of was if you had a disgruntled employee and they sent an email to a whole bunch of people in the organization, a data spillage scenario, and you had retention policies, there would be no way to go and clean up that content. And I know, in fact, that has happened. So I think this is addressing kind of edge case workflows like that. But I think they're out there and they're legitimate. And so I think that's probably why Microsoft has put this capability in place.
All right. You've moved me a little further off the fence. So I can see those points there. I just would like to make sure that there are proper protections in place for this, because the thing is that I can see this being very easily mishandled, misused, and you're going to lose content that you aren't supposed to. Because, like I said, a legal hold's there for a reason. If you're removing content for that based on that legal hold, you're running a risk of losing content you don't want to. So.
Yeah, for sure. There are proper checks and balances, proper auditing, all of those things. I do have a note on this that initially it's going to work against Exchange Online content, and coming soon would be OneDrive. So,
right.
Yeah, look for that.
Cool. All right, and last but not least.
Oh, the good old SharePoint Record Center. It has been around for a long time, since SharePoint On-Prem. It's also in SharePoint Online. It is being officially deprecated January 2025. This is a big one. I still have customers reaching out to me about this capability. I think where the confusion comes in place or into being is it's still available.
Yes.
Therefore, some customers make the assumption this is the way we manage our records inside SharePoint Online. But in fact, no, it is being deprecated. You should be using the modern Purview features to do all of the retention capabilities. So things like that send to locations, that was super helpful. Content organizer, very helpful.
Yeah.
I see capabilities that kind of emulate that, I would say, with the SharePoint Premium capabilities now inside SharePoint. What else? So existing Record Center sites, this is important to point out, will continue to work, but you won't be able to provision new record centers or new send-to locations after January.
It's the same process Microsoft used for classic sites, right? You couldn't create classic sites, but you could still have them in your environment, right? So, to be terribly honest, when I saw this come out, I'm like, oh, I thought they did this years ago. Why didn't they do this years ago?
Yeah.
It's just like, because it really, especially when Purview started, really doing the things it's doing now, record centers really are a completely different way of doing things. And got in the way. So I'm really surprised they didn't deprecate this much sooner, but here we are.
Yeah, I don't know the telemetry for how many customers are using this, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a fair number, which is maybe why they were waiting on this. I don't know.
All right. So as always, thanks for joining us today. And Joanne, thanks for joining me. And
thank you. It was good.
Yeah, it's fantastic as always. Great discussion. And if you guys want to have anything you want us to talk about, or you have any points or your own thoughts from today's discussion, throw some comments down in the chat there and in the YouTube chat, and we'll be happy to respond. And maybe we'll turn another episode for discussion. But thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.